All right. Hello, those of you joining us online. We're just waiting for a few moments of folk in the room to get seated, and we'll get started. Yeah, the mic doesn't work in the room. It's only for the stream, which is confusing. Yeah. Guys, can I get you to come and grab a seat, please? We're getting started. Thank you. So bear with us, folk online. We'll get started really soon. Folk joining us for the live stream. We'll get started really shortly. We're just rounding the last few folk up in the room, as you can see. We'll be with you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started now. So if I can have your attention, please. Thank you. We're going to get started now. So hello, everybody, and welcome to Atlassian Community London. The microphone is almost decorative. It's just for the live stream. So there's nothing in the room at all, which is completely weird, but here we go. Thank you for coming. Good to see so many familiar faces, and good to see some new faces too. We've got an awesome amount of content for you tonight. We've already started, for folk who are joining us online, with the barbecue. So if you were joining us for the barbecue and you're joining now, I was going to make a hilarious joke about how you've missed the barbecue, but in reality, there's actually tons of barbecue left. So please do feel free to get some more. And thank you for joining us for it. So I haven't got a whole bunch to say to start us off. A quick introduction to myself and to Atlassian Community London. So myself, I'm Bruce Cullen. I'm Chief Product Officer for a startup called IDO. Teeny tiny, lots of fun. That's the way I like it. And then I'm joined by Stuart Cable. Wherever you are, you're there. You're an agile delivery manager, a fellow community champion. And then finally, we have Jay, who is not going to say anything, but is in the background there. And an ITIL 4 certified service delivery manager. And we are your London community. And so we host once a month, typically, if we do a good job, a meetup along these sort of lines, as well as sort of larger scale events and conferences. We did one last month, was it? May, possibly, which was really good. And that's us. If you're new to us, do give the QR code on screen a scan. This is our LinkedIn. So all of the magic in terms of what's coming up and what's next is there first, essentially. So please do give it a scan. It helps us and it will help you too if you like this sort of thing, like barbecue food and beer. So I'll leave that up for just a moment. I see some phones. This is a good moment just to admire the room, take in the scenery. Very good. And then I will skip ahead to today's topic, which is DevEx, unifying tools, teams, and priorities. I've taken the barbecue off. Well, I see you've got your grill apron on, Ed, which is amazing. Ed, for those of you who don't know, is a repeat guest here at Atlassian Community London. And last time we presented you with this wonderful apron, and I was very excited to see it come home to London. But before I hand over to yourself, Ed, I'm going to hand over to Nikki to kick us off. So Nikki, you're a bonus extra speaker. So I'm going to hand over to you and then put your stuff on the big screen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to do swapsy, right? So before we swap the screens, hi everyone. Just to quickly introduce myself, I'm Nikki Zawadzka. I'm a lead product manager at Appfire. I'm sure Ed is going to talk a little bit more about Appfire, so I will skip that part. And I'm here today to talk about my favorite Atlassian product, which is Loom. Jira is very upset at me right now because it was Jira for years, and then all of a sudden Loom came in and I just cannot stop talking about it. So I have this presentation called "This meeting could have been a Loom," and I think it's very accurate. Atlassian is actually doing more and more research about meetings and why they are bad and why we should get rid of them and maybe try something different. And I would love to have more meetings, said absolutely no one ever, which I think we should all agree. Is there anyone in this room who loves meetings? Amazing, there's always one person, so we are going to use you. So, yeah, loves talking to people. That's what the meetups are for. That's great. So if you're introvert like me, I think Sergey's already mentioned he's introvert. This is how your ideal day would look like. So you have a call, the thing that someone scheduled, and then you have a preparation for the call, and then you need to recover from the call. However, this is not the reality, and sometimes this thing happens to me, and people also like to ignore ends of my day and also schedule something beyond. So this is not ideal. When should I actually get my work done? I'm just talking all day, right? So at the end of the day, I look something like this, and nothing really happened, just talking. So Atlassian looked at it a little bit deeper. They ran the report. I'm going to share the link with this presentation, so you can have a look at a little bit more numbers if you would like to convince your boss or someone who is scheduling the meetings in your calendar not to add them there. But 78% of people actually said that they have so many meetings, they are finding it very hard to get any work done. And 50% of the respondents also mentioned that they need to work over weekends and overtime to actually finish their work. And 80% of them mentioned that they think they would be more productive if they would spend less time in meetings. So how is this all happening, where we have all of these people telling us in those surveys that meetings are not productive for them and they cannot get their work done, but we still have those meetings in the calendar? Like, what's going on, right? And I think we are all guilty of scheduling the meetings in the calendar by default. What I mean by that is when something happens, I have some question or like there's something I need to solve, first thing that pops into our mind is, oh, let's just schedule a meeting and let's talk about it on the meeting, right? So it's a kind of like a meetings by default mindset that we are trying to get rid of. So what we can do instead is when we have this when we have this idea of like, oh, let's just jump on a meeting and talk it over, maybe we can use the Slack message, or we can use Loom to communicate with our coworkers, async, and save time. So I just want to give you a quick example before I go into demo of Loom. Quick question. Who uses Loom in this room? Just so I know, like, okay. And who never heard of Loom before? Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I'm going to give you like very quick intro so you know what we are even talking about when I'm doing the demo. So I was running this very cross-functional, cross-team project across 6 teams. Each of those people in each team was like product manager, product marketing manager, engineer, designer. A lot of people, and I only had 2 months to deliver the project, those 6 projects. So when I think about it, there's loads of meetings I actually needed to run with all of those people and all of those teams. And when I counted it, this is how many hours I would spend on the meetings. And it ended up being 14.5 hours. That's a lot, right? And I don't really have time because I also need to do the work, do the actual like work and prepare everything and so on. And I need to save that time and also time of those people. So what I looked at was, what are the meetings that I actually need to have in person, and what are the meetings that we can run offline, or they can just be the Loom. So I basically marked the meetings that need to be meetings, that need to be in person, and they need some kind of interaction with the calendar. And then the meetings that can be done offline, they can be a Slack message accommodated with a quick video like Loom. And this is how much time I actually would then save. So more than half of what I would usually run as the meetings, I saved by doing async. A lot, yeah. So let's do a quick demo. Hopefully that motivated you to have a look at the tool. So what is Loom for people who don't use it or don't really know what it is yet? Loom is basically a platform that allows you to record very quickly a video on your computer. You don't even need to install any application to your computer. You just open loom.com And all you need to do is to register, and then you have this little tiny button here in the corner that says record a video. When you click it, I'm doing a live demo because it's not my product, but it works perfectly, so I'm not scared at all. You get this little pop-up on top. It basically gives you an option to record with your video on or no, and you're sharing your screen. And then when you click on start recording, you just simply select what you want to record. It counts down, and then you just can go ahead, record the video, and once you're done, you can just click on the stop button, and the video was automatically uploaded to cloud. And if you need to share it with someone, you just click here on copy link and you can share it. That's it. Very quick. You don't need to like do anything on your computer, have any application, or upload video somewhere to Drive and then share it with someone. Super, super quick, super fast and easy. Great thing about it is that it has like a bunch of other features that will help you to edit the video. Because I guess we are all perfectionists, right? So it's very, very simple to do the video editing. There are a bunch of features that will help you speed up the process. So if you're doing a lot of, like me, there is this button to remove filler words. You just click it, and filler words are automatically removed from the video. If you want even more editing, maybe there was a dog barking in the middle and you received a package and you forgot to stop the video, you can click here on Edit and Enhance. And then over here, you have the quick video editor. So you can basically just cut and take a certain parts out. And that's how quickly you then edit. You just save and finish, and you're done. You can share. Okay, so I was doing this presentation in Prague, and Andy, Funman Andy, if you know, came back to me, and he was like, "Hey, Nikki, you need to talk about AI. Like everyone talks about AI these days." So I'm just going to quickly show you a few AI features that Loom has that I find particularly interesting and helpful. That will also speed up your process later on. So when I record this video, the first thing that I usually want to do is to maybe share it with someone. So I recorded it because I found some kind of bug or something. So I need to write a Slack message. What I can do is just come quickly here, what you said in the video, and from the context of what you said in the video, message that you can copy and just share with that Loom. Easy. Oh, you're not using Slack or Teams. You are a very official company and you need to use email to communicate. Terrible. I would never write email anymore, but hey, you can also write very official email over here with the subject line and everything, and you can share it with your coworkers or outside the company as well. Other really great thing about this is who doesn't like to write documentation? Is there like anyone who like hates to write docs? I hate to write docs. Yeah, you hate to write docs. Okay, so I would just write a talk like you. So I'm just sitting down usually and recording myself talking about some whiteboard or something about the process I need to document. It might be like 15, 20 minutes video. And then once I'm done, I can click here over on generate document, and then I can select from templates. And it basically creates the draft of the documentation for me very quickly, even with the screenshots, if you need a screenshot. So if you need to write like step-by-step docs or like processes or anything, or bug fixes, you found a bug and you need to raise the bug, you can use this to basically pre-generate the text together with the screenshots, and then you can just edit it later. Okay. Now, everyone who uses Loom is like, "Duh, Nikki, I knew everything you just said," right? So today I was playing with one feature that I don't think you used, because I didn't use it either. And I'm very quickly going to show you, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ed. So the feature that I'm talking about is called variables. What it is, it's in a Loom since almost the beginning, because Loom was initially developed as a sales tool. It's a little thing we learned today. So what they actually have in their product is something called audio variables, which allows you to highlight certain words in your recording. Like, for example, over here, I actually said there is a button and it's blue. So what you can do is highlight that word and then set a different variables. I'm just going to do it over here. And then say, for example, yellow. So I added a new variable. And you can preview the audio. Now I cannot share this audio because it wouldn't work with the with the live stream, but it matches my voice. It matches even my accent. So it works really, really well. And then what it does, it creates extra Loom video with that particular word. How you can use it. It can be used for sales process, for example. So if you have some demo and you say, hi, customer name from blah, blah, blah company, and then you start with the whole demo, suddenly you personalize the demo. If you're not working with in the like a customer facing role, maybe you can also use it for onboarding in your company. So if you want to create like a more personalized onboarding for your coworkers and you record the processes, you can do the same thing. Hi, X, you can just say any name. Hi, Alex, and then you just continue talking, and then you highlight that as a variable, and voila, you have a personalized onboarding video for your coworkers. I'm pretty sure that you can find more use cases like this. Just maybe think about it, how it can simplify your process, and how many videos, customized videos, personalized videos you can create with this feature. Okay, so just to finish off, I wanted to share this interesting stat. Loom customers shared that in 2023, they reduced the meetings by 28%. So yes, it works. Yes, you should give it a try if you didn't already. It's really addictive tool, and everyone keeps on talking about it. If you're interested in more stats and you want to convince your boss to try Loom, you can scan this QR code. It's an Atlassian report about meetings and how we should stop wasting our time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand over to Ed. Can I just check you're switched on first?
Check.
You
Check.
are.
Check.
Yes. Check.
You're good?
Right.
You're good? All right.
And then let me share your screen, and then we'll get going. The joys of live streaming. I was off sleep mode too, I think.
All right, so I just need to share. Screen. Share. We're good? We're good?
Brilliant. Thank you.
Excellent. So real quick, Nikki's too humble. Nikki is also the founder of the former application company Jexo, which Appfire acquired. She is well versed in the Atlassian ecosphere.
Coming out and with us
this evening. I enjoyed that. I am Ed Gaile. I'm a principal solutions architect at Appfire, and I basically just try to figure out how I can go to different places and have barbecue. That's what I do. That's what I do. I have somehow convinced my company that it's a great idea to go to other places and feed people barbecue and just talk about the Atlassian ecosphere. So I'm writing a book on that. Anyway, welcome again, and thank you, Jay, Stuart, and Bruce. So last year I was here, and I was bequeathed this awesome apron, customized. So I have the Atlassian Community London logo here. So this is one of my prized possessions. I am a professional, so I do have a wall that has all my awards on it. So this is actually one of the displayed prominently in there. So other than we're going to talk about gaining organizational visibility into your enterprise. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So we need to understand how we can get visibility into our entire DevEx and DevOps. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And so back in the day, basically, the developers had operations. The developer guys were busy doing their code, releasing features, just getting it out the door. They don't care what happened when it was deployed. And then you had the operations guys that were deploying the applications, and they were just concerned about uptime, maintainability, not necessarily caring what was developed. They just want to make sure it stays up. And so what that happened is that created silos. So your developers, they had no insight into the deployment and the operations parameters, and then your operations guys didn't have any visibility into what was being developed and what they were actually deploying anything. So you develop silos from that perspective. And so that's basically right there. You have silos, you can't see into what's going on to each other's worlds. So what happened? We had the DevOps process come along. You guys are probably familiar with this in the circle here.
Came along and says, okay,
hey,
we need to cut down the silos. Everyone needs to have some skin in the game. So we need to make sure that everyone is on the same page as far as our development process, whether that's going from the development to the testing to the deployment to the maintenance to the feedback coming back in. So that's how you get in the loop here. So basically break down the silos, indicate everyone's on the same team.
Everyone's on the same team. Everyone needs to have some feedback into how our development process works.
But the problem is
that DevOps is just a very small part of exposure within an organization. Primarily, it's usually you can't see this here, but it's development and operations. So development and operations is where DevOps usually occurs, and so great, we have some visibility into there. But what about the rest of the organization, right? So what about
your strategy level, your
strategy level, your CEOs, your operations, revenue side, product? They have no visibility into the DevOps process now, right?
So
again, we've got rid of these silos here,
but we still have some
silos up at the top of the organization. So
how do
we know that we're doing the right thing?
It comes down to how do we know we're doing the right thing? How do we know we have the right people working on the right thing, and it's not costing us money? So quick stat here.
So
by 2025, 70% of digital investments will fail to deliver the expected business outcomes due to the absence of an SPM approach. And so SPM
approach, what does that mean? That means a strategic portfolio management.
So you probably heard of PPM.
Portfolio management. So
the next iteration of that is a strategic.
So how are we taking? So how are we taking
we are working
on? How are we tracking?
How are they being deployed? How are we tracking what developers are doing?
How are we getting feedback from that perspective? Are we tracking what developers are working on? So now we're getting a strategic level of hey, here's what we're working on. Here's what we're working on. Here's our OKRs. Here's our metrics that we're trying to get to. Here is what our developers are working on. Are those lining up? Are they not lining up? So now we're getting from a strategic perspective of what's going on within our organization. So SPM is kind of where we're trending.
And that's what we're doing at
Appfire. And so
in a minute, I'll show you exactly how we're doing that
within Appfire.
But what does it mean from an
organizational perspective? So when an organization is young, like a startup, the strategy level and the developers, the execution level, are really close together. So you have a CEO with a vision sitting in the desk next to you, and the developers are right here, and you guys are just banging it out, right? There's no miscommunication as far as what needs to be done. You get a little bigger, you get to the middle there. It's like, okay, so now we're getting a little bigger. We have more developers. Strategy is still somewhat close to what's happening. So we're still sending the right signals down to what needs to be done, right?
We get big,
right? So now we're getting really big. We get explosive growth. So now strategy is way up here, and we have this big coordination layer in between strategy and the delivery folks, right? So now we have a lot of middle management, product managers. We have people trying to figure out what's going on. We're trying to decipher what the strategy level at the C-suite does and give that information down to the delivery.
Well,
what happens is a lot of times
that doesn't go so well, right?
That doesn't go.
So you guys familiar with
the game of telephone? Or if I go over here and I tell Foxy one thing, by the time it gets all the way back around here, it's not what I told Foxy. I'm not going to tell you what I told Foxy. So it's that game of telephone, right? So another good example is, are you guys familiar with that show, Undercover Boss? So the CEO goes undercover as a worker on the line or whatever, and gets some insights onto what's happening, right? So there's an episode, I think it was with waste management. So the CEO dressed up in his gear, got on a truck with the guys, and was picking up waste and getting a feel for what was going on. And so he noticed that the guys had a can in the truck that they would go to the bathroom in. And he's like, dude, why are you guys doing that? He's like, well, we have to, because our utilization has to be at a certain percentage, or we don't get paid our bonuses, kind of thing. So our bosses said, we don't have time to take a break, so we have to go pee in a can. And the CEO was like, well, I didn't say that. But the CEO realized that on a spreadsheet there was a utilization metric that said X amount, and he's like, hey, talking with the other C-level folks, that if we get this utilization up, we should be able to, affect the bottom line and be able to get a little bit more profit. Well,
that's great.
That's great.
When it filtered all the way
But
down,
when it's filtered all the way down
the delivery
to the delivery guys, it was their bosses saying, "Dude, you can't take a break. We got to be."
So that's not,
So that's not what the CEO meant, right? But that's what was translated down to the delivery guys, and that's what happens in our organizations a lot
when we were trying to
execute
the strategy, but it's not communicated well down to the delivery guys. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
And why does that happen? Because a lot of times we are focused on KPIs, and like I said, we get the strategy lost in translation. So one of those issues is super hyper-fixated on KPIs. And KPIs are great. What are we doing? What are we tracking? What are we trying to? What's our performance?
Metrics?
And they're great,
but
they're not the end all be all. And what I mean by that is that when you're doing something, you do it.
When you're doing something, you do it,
and those KPIs are supposed to support that purpose. And so you work towards those KPIs.
That
purpose.
Further
Sometimes we get to the point.
Sometimes we get to the point where
fixated on the KPIs.
we forget about the purpose.
So a good example of that is
a
buddy,
buddy,
and this is Chris Pepe, who was supposed to be here, but he did not. But he's like, hey, I need to get back in shape. I went to my doctor.
The doctor said,
"Hey, your numbers don't look so great.
Your numbers don't
look so great. Do something. We're gonna have to have some. And so he's like,
okay,
I'm gonna go get in shape. So his KPI, I'm going to lose 15 pounds over 10 pounds. Why? Because I got some issues. What I want to get out of it.
What I want to get out of it is
get
my
more
health,
strength.
reverse
some of the damage I've done.
some of the damage I've done. How am I going to do that? I'm going to use a better diet and an exercise plan. My KPI
I'm going to lose
15 pounds in 10 weeks.
Awesome. So what happened is that he lost 7 pounds in 12 weeks. But he felt better.
So his back was hurt. He was stronger. More action outside.
But he didn't make his KPI.
So he should be fired. So he's out. Right. He's out.
He didn't make his KPI.
So,
but he achieved his purpose. His purpose was to get healthier. His KPI was lose this amount of weight. He didn't hit his KPI. That's fine. And I think one of the great things about a lot of companies today is that if you don't hit your KPIs, you're having issues with your development operations. And I think Amazon had a good scenario of this where I can't remember how many years ago, but they had a junior level person went in, they updated a script, and it basically wiped out Amazon accounts for thousands of people. I know this sounds like the Atlassian cloud issue about 3 years ago, but same concept. But normally what would happen is be like, oh, hey, Jay, you did that. You're out. You're fired. That's it. And then we move on. But what Amazon did was they're like, you know what? We put Jay in a bad position. He shouldn't have been able to do that. He shouldn't have been able to execute that script and do that. We failed Jay. And so what Amazon did was like, let's reassess what's going on with our processes and how we have our vision into what we're doing with our developers and make sure that we put those guardrails in place. So again, KPIs are great.
But
your purpose is more important. And so what it does is it just comes down to a lot of the business challenges that organizations are dealing. So are we aligning our work to our goals? Are we working on the right thing? Budget, talent, and strategy.
So we have our developers, are they being prioritized to work on the right things
or not? They aren't. Is that costing us money?
And how are we planning and tracking this work?
Are our developers
working on the right thing, and are they enjoying what they're doing? So they're more efficient. Do we have 5 places of metrics? So we have metrics in
GitHub
GitHub.
Jenkins, and do we have all over the place, or do we have one source of truth where we can see and gain insights into what's happening with our developers? And what happens is no visibility, cycle times, and handoffs. We don't know. We can't see what's going on from a high-level position of what's going on with the developers. If we can't see what's going on with the developers, that's just going to produce chaos.
kind of thing. So
how do we handle that?
How do we handle that?
So at Appfire, we're doing a strategic portfolio management. And so, the SPM approach is helping us to align, our investment strategy and outcomes. We're enabling data-driven decisions across teams and leaderships, optimizing our resource allocation, developers are working on the right things based on our purpose and our KPIs that we define, improving their efficiency, and having that one single source of truth, so you don't have a bunch of different data sources of metrics. You got one place where you can see that information and how it's impacting your developers, the DevOps process. So how are we doing that?
Strategic layer, we're utilizing one of our apps called Big Picture, and that's our flagship portfolio management, where you can pull in projects using any type of methodology, whether it's waterfall, hybrid, safe, anything like that. You can pull them all together and get one place where you can get visibility into how those are being managed. At the execution layer, we are using, obviously we're using Jira to track our issues within everything. We're also using some of our apps called 7Pace, our time tracking app to be like, hey, let's track the time of our developers, what they're using on, how long for specific
projects. Are they aligning with what we have defined with our sprints? Based on, are they working enough? Are they not working? Are they not working as much as we've defined? And by using SPM, we're able to focus on these four OKRs. So our KPIs, our objectives, with our financial management, our cost and control with what we've defined for our developers and the projects we're working on and the allocations we have assigned. Strategic prioritization. So are we working on the right thing? From a priority perspective, and risk management, and assessing which of our issues or which of our projects have more risk than others, so that we can pivot or address those as they come up. So here's an example walk. We have the spreadsheet here. We're in the C-suite. Looking at our spreadsheet. We're like, hey, the board wants the executive leadership team to stabilize revenue, because looking at our spreadsheet, it looks like our revenue has gone down from May to June, and then kind of bounces back up a little bit in July. Same thing with gross billings. Kind of goes down, they go back up. The board says we need to stabilize this. So how are we going to stabilize this? We're going to say, okay, hey, we need to open a new market. We need to convert 20% of Jira users into Confluence users, and that's going to be our objective, right? Our objective, right? Establish KPIs to achieve that objective. So we're going to set our budget. We're going to do our timelines. We're going to do our timelines. Everything is lined up to be able to help us achieve this. And how we're going to do that is within Big Picture. So we're going to be able to have that visibility into what we're defining as our new metric. Cool. Once we have that set, developers are off to the races. They're going to start working on their sprints. They're going to actually doing the effort. They're going to be like, hey, let's crank out these features. Let's crank out these features, and we're going to be able to track, the effort, the actual effort versus the estimated effort. Are those lining up? Are those correct? Managing the effort and the distribution. And again, that's going to be through 7Pace time tracker. And then we're going to use one of our recent acquisitions, Flow. Flow is a software engineering intelligence application. See a little bit more of that here in a second. We're going to use Flow to say, hey, all right, we're going to take all of our metrics in from our source controls from Jira, pull all that together, and we're going to say, hey, can we see any bottlenecks that are happening from a software engineering perspective? What's the average time to merge back in from a pull request? What is our different metrics for our developers that are occurring? And hopefully, once we have all that enabled, Big Picture is going to be pulling the real-time data. 7Pace is going to show you your actuals, and Flow is going to show you, here's your overall metrics, and here's where your bottlenecks are, and how we attack those bottlenecks, improve them, and set a new baseline kind of thing. Software engineering intelligence.
Software engineering intelligence. So you got
SEI, that's kind of
SEI,
right?
so
You know,
right.
our product is Flow,
competing
project now they're called
competing
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
Same concept.
Same
Taking
concept.
all our metrics
We're
from
taking all our
developers,
metrics
from source control,
developers,
and we're
source
pulling
control,
those together,
and
and we're
pulling those
getting
together, and we're really
fine
fine-grained into what we're able to track from a software engineering perspective.
I know when
last
came out with the DVCS, distributed version control system connector, everyone's fired up because now we can say, you can actually see commit from what we worked on. SVN, way back in the day.
SVN.
You guys old enough to know what SVN is? I see it. I got it. He's back. CVS. Subversion. CVS. Or
even subversion.
I'm old. I'm sorry. I'm old.
Because now it's good. Yeah. I was good with
So talking about Flow as the software engineering intelligence platform, we have pulling in these metrics from Jira, your source control, whether that's GitHub, GitLab, Azure DevOps, wherever it's coming from. We're going to track code commits, pull requests, work items and tickets, and we're going to pull all that in. We're going to be able to run our magic, and produce our metrics. What are some of those metrics that are important to look at?
Kind of important to look at.
It's just flow.
It's just flow.
So looking at the metrics through Flow's eyes, what we're trying to do is set a baseline. Where are we right now? Okay. Now I can see that we have a bottleneck. Let's address that bottleneck. Fix everything. Now we have a new baseline. You want to keep incrementally improving your baseline of your developer process through this software engineering intelligence application. Here's what's happening. Okay, I can see we have a problem with our pull requests. They're taking way too long. Why is that? Is that because our engineers are not clear on their instructions or commit comments, or do we not have enough people to do a review? Why is that? So let's fix that. Okay, we have more people to do reviews now. Let's fix that issue. Awesome, we have a new baseline. Next issue to look at. Once we solve that problem, and we demonstrated the impact, we have a new baseline. Now we have a new baseline. Now we can start using the metrics to say, hey, here's the new bottleneck that we're figure that one out. New base, address it. New baseline. And Flow. How do we find about this? Not specific to Flow, but in general Flow, but in general from a developer's perspective. We have impact. This one actually is kind of prepared. Thank you. Proprietary. Thank you. To Flow. It's the impact score. So the impact score. What's more impact? One commit has 100 comments that someone has to go through, or 3, 4, 5, really small chunks really commits where it's really easy to go in and see exactly what's going on. So from Flow's the smaller ones, easier to see and address and do a review on, are highly more impactful than the one big one. Impact score is one. Sprint movement is also a pretty cool one. This one actually is one of my favorite ones. So we have the blue is what we committed to, right? We committed to all this work, and then we had all this scope come in. Okay. So it's like wow. So we have committed. This is what we were planning on making, right? But when we came down to it, we only achieved 60% of what we committed. We had like 20% coming in. Scope. So this is what we actually got done. Even though we were planning to get that much done. And oh, by the way, the dotted line is what we normally get done. So if I'm looking at this as a leader, I'm going to be like, I don't know what these developer guys are doing. They're all over the place, right? So we're saying that we're going to do this. Still coming in. We actually did every year, tried to commit to this, but we normally only get this much done. So from a developer's perspective, we've got a lot of chaos going on. How do we address that? What do we have to look at? Are we overestimating? Are we underestimating? Why are we allowing too much scope to come in? From that perspective. So again, that's a bottleneck.
That's
Now we can address this bottleneck.
Now we can address this bottleneck.
Dev weeks is another one. So if you look at this
graph here, we can see that 56% of the time we are working on features. We have 4% maintenance, and then the concerning one is 40% defects.
why is that concerning?
Why is that concerning?
It's concerning because
It's concerning
40% on defects. That means I didn't do a good job on my pull request reviews, right? Because now I'm fixing what I developed and released, but I'm going back and fixing it. Why am I doing so much?
Why am I doing so much rework?
Because if I do this again, I'm going to release more stuff that I'm going to rework on, right? So again, from a developer's perspective, bottleneck. Why are we doing this? Why are we having this issue? What can we do to look at that? Do we need to have better pull requests? Anything from that perspective. Like I said, in the case of poor quality control, impacts planning, the SPM. So again, gives you insights onto what you're doing. Again, the visibility. Now we have the visibility into these specific metrics. Time to merge. Time to merge. So normally, on an average pull request or merge in 24 hours. I'm not sure that's true. That's a little aggressive. But a few outliers, that are 75 hours till the merges, the progressive merge. Why is someone just not getting to it? Are we just trying to rubber stamp stuff? Are we not doing our reviews correctly? So again, your metrics and your discrepancies, your bottlenecks, now you can address those again. And that is it. So we looked at getting operational visibility into your DevOps, DevEx processes. So we looked at what it was like the old days, kind of we've graduated to from that perspective. Hey, we have a purpose in the KPIs. We have a purpose in the KPIs. Index on your KPIs. Make sure you're addressing your purpose. Looking at your metrics, taking the SPM approach, strategic portfolio management, meaning now I need to get full visibility from tracking my issues to tracking my developers' experience, meaning tracking what they're doing, getting to those visual bottlenecks, being able to address those bottlenecks, fix those bottlenecks, create a new baseline, and keep improving our entire flow from it. So we saw a couple apps that do that. Appfire uses do that. Different ones we use big picture, 7-pace, and flow. Same concept with whatever application you're using. Just make sure to get that visibility. And that's it. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Hi, Ed, Justin here. Actually, I had the privilege of attending your talk actually last year, so nice to see you again. Thanks. The presentation's clearly moved on a bit. I had a quick question around this. I don't see a lot of mention of AI specifically in the presentation here, but are you seeing any areas specifically in the DevEx space, let's say beyond code productivity tools, where AI is kind of really creeping in and helping or productivity in the DevEx piece specifically?
So you're personally what you're saying. What I've seen is you've heard of you guys heard of the phenomenon that's going on right now. It's not that different with professional or experienced software developers. What they're doing now is using these LLMs as co-pilots to be able to quickly prototype and or get 80% of their features knocked out and then go back in. So correct. I have a background in programming. I started playing around. In my case, I was using Cursor with Claude Code. My tongue is messed up. To be able to experiment with that. And so I could see when the LLM was starting to get lazy. It was going down the wrong path. It was starting to hard code variables. I'm like, no, stop. So what I'm seeing from a developer's perspective is that they are really using these LLMs to crank out frameworks really quick or prototypes. I need to prototype this specific front end to see if users like it. I don't know. they're really starting to use that.
They're really starting to use that
pick up
to
the pace of their
pick up the pace of their
That's the
development.
biggest impact
That's the biggest impact I've seen. I would imagine that we're also going to be able to see, based on learning metrics of, hey, here's a pull request for this specific type of change. Can AI now quickly go through and be like, yep, that's good, kind of thing. Can they start to help with pull requests and get those pull request merge times down, kind of thing? Is where I suspect we're going to see some of that.
See that in action. It's definitely helping with that code review process.
Yeah, because theoretically, AI is supposed to help initially with anything that is very repetitive. Pull requests are very repetitive, but they're different. So they have different parameters, different things, what we're looking at, kind of thing, depending on what we're working on. So I think as AI is getting better, they're going to help with that repetitive pull request tasks. So we can do that. They're already helping with tests. So, hey, I just created this this application, so I need you to create me a test library that's going to test each of these features, using JTest or whatever. And then I want you to automatically run that as part of my CI/CD kind of thing, or my GitHub actions. So when I want to deploy this, run the tests automatically. So it's getting crazy.
Or should also say, there's a water bottle for the best question. Should have said that earlier.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Water bottle for best
Next
question.
Thanks very much for the presentation. I deal with a lot of clients who are interested in user-centric development. I was interested in how that might fit into your pyramid, where you've got the strategy guys, you're worried about silos. They're a long way away from the users, from what I can see. How do you resolve that?
So when you ask me that question, the first thing I think about is what's called XLAs. SLAs, which are service level. XLAs is your user level agreements, right?
Is what I'm developing work for the user. So service level
user. So
agreement,
I can
pick those off.
I can pick those off.
So I have to.
As a developer, I need to
write 300 lines of code.
300 lines of code is my SLA, whatever that is.
Dude, I can
I will
get around that.
I will get around that somehow, some way.
Yeah, I will make a lot of
I will make a lot of comments. I will do whatever,
But XLAs,
XLAs are much harder in that,
I've met my
hey,
SLAs,
I've met my SLAs, but now have I met my user level agreements? Does my user understand what's going on?
And if they don't,
I'm obviously doing something wrong. So now we have this whole concept of XLAs, which is part of your whole DevOps process again. No one's ever really called it out before.
It's a UI UX. Yeah. Well, UI UX person needs to work with their
developer person,
change the color of that button for you. Very simplistic example. But we need to have
XLA as far as
my user experience.
in this whole process. So I'm supposed to be able to sign on and be able to come over here and do this. And is it not? Or not? So my XLAs, now I need to start tracking those and seeing those metrics and pull those into everything that we're doing here. So at least that's how I'm seeing going about it now.
Thank you. Any more questions? Let me pass this back.
Hi, just wanted to quickly ask, with 7 pace, what do you get there that you don't get in Tempo?
So
very transparently, that is our competitor.
So we acquired
7 pace from it's the number one tracking and time tracking Azure DevOps.
So we got that. We acquired them
from there.
Over to Monday.com, and then they ported it over to Atlassian. So it is not going to be a direct feature parity with Tempo timesheets, but it is our application to address different options that Tempo has always been the 800 on the block for time tracking. So now because they have structure, that's been their integration, that's been their PPM. So now we have big picture that is integrated with 7 pace. That's our answer to it.
It's very comparable. I don't have the specific feature by feature
point, but I can get that
points. But it is our answer to being able to have that time tracking capabilities integrated in with your portfolio management.
Thank you. Any more? If not, I've got one of my own. So Compass versus Flow, I'd like to understand more about. I've come across Jellyfish before, probably about 2 years ago. And it was at a similar time I looked at Compass, and it was a similar kind of idea. At the time, Compass was less far online, but Flow is new to me. How do they compare? Again, not to buy features, big picture.
Yeah, big picture, awesome. You win a water bottle. Because that is,
I can't win. It's not allowed.
You guys familiar with Atlassian? So Compass is Atlassian's portal where you are pulled together. They let you pull together all of your insights into your distributed development. So you might have development. So you might have a team in India, you might have a team in Brazil, you might have a team in California. India uses GitHub, Brazil uses GitLab, California uses Bitbucket. Whatever it is, they're distributed teams. You need to have some kind of visibility and insight into what's going on. Here's my opinion and or take on the difference between Compass and Flow. Compass is very much more geared to the team level. Hey, here's my team. Hey, here's my team. I can see what my team's doing now. My team in India, or my team in Brazil, California, and California. I can get some insights into the components they're working on. Now, a component can be anything. It can be a microservice. It can be an application. It can be anything. I can see when those are being deployed. So from a team level, I think it's very useful. Flow is more at the enterprise. Look at everything. Let's look at everything together from an enterprise level, and let's get deeper and more fine-grained into the metrics that we're doing, and so we can see more potential of those potential bottlenecks quicker and more clearer. So, I mean, for Flow to be effective, you need to have more than 10 developers. Compass, you can actually use with a team of 5. And see those insights. Have your checkoffs. Are your developers happy, sad? Are they releasing it? You can do your scorecards and your scorecards. And scorecards and Compass are that let you define metrics that are important. So I am building an app as a DevOps scorecard. DevOps scorecard is my release rate, my releasing once or twice a week, my build success rate, my pull request time, whatever that is, I can associate a percentage of weight to those. So maybe my release rate is super important to me, so that's 40%. Build success rate is 30%. And then, the last 30% is whatever metrics. That's really effective from a team level to be able to see that. Now, Flow takes it that much level deeper from an enterprise level to say, okay, now let's combine everything and then see that from an enterprise standpoint and be able to get some of those more fine-grained metrics.
Good answer. Brilliant. Thank you. Any more questions in the room? One more.
By the way, I'm not taking the barbecue home, so you guys.
Hi, I'm Josh, Service Delivery Manager for The Telegraph. I just had a question about the scope creep slide.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so sprint move. Yeah, so this is a great one. So what Josh is looking at here. So again, Josh, so this is kind of what this is what we plan, right? We plan to do this. We had this much scope creep, and then this is what we completed, right? So from what we planned, we only got this much. From the scope creep that came in, we only did this much. That adds up to this. But that is what we were planning on. And it's like, but we only normally do this much. So it's like, that was going on. Why are we committing to so much work when we only do this much? Why are we letting so much scope creep come in and we only normally do this? And why are we completing so much more work than we normally do based on this? Why are we doing that? Is the question. It's like, okay, apparently there's some reason. Are we overestimating what we think we can do, kind of thing, or are we allowing too much scope creep to come in? Can we stop that? How do we stop that? So it's just giving you an insight of what's going on.
from that perspective.
Yeah, so my question regarding the scope creep was, from your experience, how do you manage that or mitigate the scope creep that's being added on to your
Shot
existing
collars.
Wish I could do that.
That's a great question, Josh. I mean, if you're like me, you always want to help whoever. It's like, and I'm the worst. I'm guilty because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can get that in. There's no problem. I'll get that in. So what you got to do from that perspective is, talk to your team. It's like, I know we want to do everything for everyone. We can't do that because we have specific KPIs and metrics that we have to get done for our customers. We have to prioritize. That's why we prioritize things, and that's why we, evaluate what risks are those from a priority perspective. That's why we do all this, is to be able to manage that and then have conversations on what we should work on. C-level is saying we need to do this. So in order to do this, here's how we have to break up the work, and here's the priority kind of thing. And so that is how we have to communicate and make it part of the culture. What I'm saying is there's no easy answer, at least from my opinion, but it's more of a, all right, what is systemic pieces that we keep scope creep? Is it because we are agreeing to too much stuff? If that's the case, we need to put a gatekeeper on between us and the developers and the project managers that are trying to get stuff in, kind of thing. Is it because customers keep throwing everything at us and project managers or the sales guys keep over-promising stuff? Like that's never happened. So many different variables. So once you can figure out why that scope creep is coming in, is it because we're just being too agreeable? Let's get a gatekeeper or someone that can help manage that and stem that kind of thing. Is it because we're all just super awesome people on the developer team and want to please everyone? I have no issue with that, so I don't know how to address that one. Bruce, as a chief product officer, do you have any insight on that?
My perspective, it starts with culture.
Yeah.
You can implement whatever processes and metrics you want, but if the C-suite are going to go directly to engineering teams and start bothering them with things, speaking as one, then you've got a problem. And so there's definitely a piece of it that starts with kind of, if you can get the higher up, you can get buy-in to, no, this is the scope we're setting, and this is the scope we're delivering.
Yeah, it's part of the culture. It's like, this is why we go through the meetings to prioritize what we're working on and put those KPIs in place. If we don't stick to those, why are we even doing it? So it's like, all right, this is our culture. We're doing this. We're setting these standards, kind of thing. From that point on, everyone has to buy in. Everyone, developers, project managers, leadership, C-suite, they all have to buy in. Like, okay, this is how we have to do business in order to stay on track and serve our customers.
One more last question of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just a question. You mentioned the word risk, and I was thinking about risk management.
Yep.
So in my experience with Big Picture, one of the powerful but underused features is risk management. So it's very difficult to get real traction.
I can see Sergey's is over here smiling, and you know what?
That's just my experience sort of implementing it for clients. But you going back to what you were saying about this growing disconnect as company grows between strategy makers and operations.
That's exactly what happens.
One level in the organization knows what the likelihood of failure is, and the other part knows what the consequence is. And are they connected? And what do you do about that? And do you use Big Pictures?
That's exactly what we came. So we started. And Sergey, if you want to talk to,
this is how we do it at Appfire. So Big Picture is where our strategic guys and our middle management are setting projects, setting the priorities, setting what the risk is, so that they are, we're not playing that game of telephone from the top down that gives you a different message at this level. On the execution level, we're using Big Picture to be accountable for everything that we are setting from OKR, priority, a risk perspective, because Big Picture has all those modules. It has the OKR, the risk management, priorities, the capacity planning, financial, everything you need to get all this stuff correct before it gets unleashed onto these. So that's how we're doing. Sergey, did you want to?
Just to clarify, are you talking about big picture or big picture enterprise? Okay, so in big picture enterprise, that's a hot teaser. We're gonna have C-level, like a dashboard that's combining OKRs, risks, and financials all in one view. So again, back to that kind of visibility for the leadership, so they can, manage expectations. And I think it's also tied like scope creep, right? If they have better understanding what's in the pipeline and like what's the risks, like, okay, if we're gonna go in this direction, right? Maybe that's gonna also minimize the scope creep at the same time. So yeah, we can talk about this more. I can show you more about the risk management, but yeah, good to hear.
So Sergey is the product marketing manager, or what do you call it, guys? Product marketing for big picture. That's why he was grinning when you asked that question. Sorry.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's.
We display water bottle question announcement while I'm fiddling with this.
First question was.
Let Ed, Nikki confirm.
Nikki has confirmed.
Nikki has confirmed. Well done, Justin. All right, so that's more or less us done. So while I just give this slide a moment, just in case anyone needs to scan the QR code for our LinkedIn page. One thing I should have done for in-person folk at the beginning was to say, I couldn't get my check-in app working at the beginning. So if I didn't check you in, can I have a quick show of hands? Who didn't get checked in by somebody? Because, thank you, Stuart, my glamorous assistant here, is going to take a mental note of you and probably try and catch you after to check you in. That's important because that's how we pay for stuff like food. So that's important. Housekeeping, fun times. And before I let you go, one other QR code to scan, which is this one here. So July is a busy month for us. We have not just this one, but another one. We have Dominic Price coming to talk to us on the 29th of July. Hopefully I got that right. I was doing this slide on the train on the way in. Thank you. And he's coming to talk to us about the future of work, reimagining work, a conversation with Dominic Price. Now, his job title is kind of interesting. I had to pull it up while I was listening to the content earlier on, just there. He has a future of work and TED speaker in his job title. He should be a really interesting person to have one of these with, because he has great insights around Atlassian and travels the world with them, and he's rather high fluting, so we're quite lucky to have him. So I think this one is definitely one not to miss. Haven't decided if we're live streaming this one or not. We're definitely going to be having it in person. It's also going to be in Shoreditch at Stuart's office, just down the road. 3 minutes away, so if you can get here, you can definitely get there. So do give this a scan, and don't say we never give you anything. 2 events in 1 month. So all that's left to do is to say thank you very much, thank you for coming, and thank you to our wonderful speakers. Ed, thank you for the barbecue. Take some home, yes. Sorry for those of you online, barbecue doesn't really work digitally, and thank you, Nikki, for joining us as well. Bonus content is always good. Until next time, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.